Welcome back to the kitchen. You were here with Team Mad Wrestling in the building with your man Twitch for Life, MrBroadcast, art behind the camera. Once again, today we talking about life and apparently Sahara Desert. I don't know. That's what MrBroadcast told me. So that's what I said on the camera. I don't care. Anyway, don't we have a track to play?
Yes, we do. Meek Mill.
I love when I get to put them on the spot.
Free?
Man, y'all know what's up. Y'all heard it. You jamming it right now before you even watch the episode. This Meek Mill, this Rick Ross, this Jay-Z, What's Free. This is changing hip hop for 2019. When I say everybody talking about, I'm not even talking about regular everyday fans. Other hip hop artists are becoming fans of hip hop again after listening to this track. And I'm not just speaking off of assumptions. This is what's out there in the Twitterverse, man. People have been talking about it nonstop the last 3 days. And I'm talking about other artists, about how hard this goes and how everybody has to re-step their game up. All I'm saying is this track is setting standards for 2019.
You know what free is, nigga? What's free? Free is when nobody else can tell us what to be. Free is when the TV ain't controlling what we see. Told my niggas I need.
So the song, in essence, is dope. It's dope. I understand what he was trying to do with the mix on it too, like bringing it back to like that. I mean, the mix is like old, like late 80s, early 90s style mix. You know what I'm saying? With the real unbalanced track, and it feels like it's purposely unbalanced and filtered like that kind of like telephone filter kind of vibe. It's dope.
It's dope. It's off a play off of Biggie's What's Beef. That's what they doing.
Yeah. It's yeah.
That's why you heard the reference to Diddy and Biggie and all that stuff in there.
Yeah. Now I don't really pay attention to the lyrics all that much. That's not my thing.
No, I want to tell you for reference of why.
Yeah.
You made your points correctly, and there was also a homage to Biggie's What's Beef, and that's why they did it that way. So it wasn't the direct sample, but you knew that's what they were sampling.
Right. Yeah.
And then they feel it. Yeah.
Got you. Man, your boy Jay say some real shit.
I know.
He said some stuff that's probably got brothers inside of those contracts right now going, damn.
Before you continue, I just want to add to this right here to this point to get what you're saying. I'm gonna tell you like this. He said so much stuff that had people tripping and trying to figure out what he said. Jay-Z hadn't been on Twitter in a year. He got on Twitter the day after just to explain a part of his thing to make sure people didn't get confused on what he was saying.
Damn.
Came out of Twitter silence just to say, this is what I meant when I said this. So y'all don't get confused.
Gee whiz. Lord.
I mean, that was just Jay-Z. That was 2 minutes of just Jay flowing, dog.
Yeah.
And it was all real shit.
Right. He didn't that wasn't money, drugs, cars, clothes, none of that. That was like old school Jay.
Well, the first half was money, cars, and a big house and all that.
No.
That's not what it was about.
No. He was explaining the breakdown of who he was compared to what people expected him to be.
Yeah.
Enslaved and how he was breaking out the change.
Yeah. It was an explanation of the situation, not a brag about money's clothes, cars, and
I got
right.
you.
Yeah.
Because the very first two lines is, in the land of the free where blacks enslaved, 3/5 of a man I believes the phrase. That's why he went down to what he owns by percentages. I'm 50% of Dussy. I'm 100% Ace of Spades. Right Nation, half that's my piece. That's the reason he broke that down, was to say that this is what you
said I'm worth, but this is what I'm actually worth.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
That was his reason for breaking that down. And then that's why he came back full circle again and said, talking about how people looking to shoot me, but they taking all your money in 360s.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And that's why I don't know if you picked up on the part where he had This is the part he explained in Twitter when people were saying, "Oh, he going at Kanye," when he made the saying, "No red hat, don't Michael and Prince me and Ye. They separate you when you got Michael and Prince's DNA." And so a point of, because that was always a battle of who's better than Prince and Michael, and they always pitted Prince and Michael against each other in the 80s and early 90s. Yeah. And so a point was, don't pit us like that. That's my brother. You're always trying to pit the people at the top, regardless of their views. Don't pit us against each other. We just have different views on the way we do things.
Right. I got you.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
It's hard to talk about a song that says it all.
I know. Dude, I mean,
like, especially on the first time hearing it too.
Yeah.
Right. It's one of those hip hop caviars.
Right. I mean, he said a lot of things, and it wasn't subtle, misguided, innuendos. He was straight up saying them. He even went after like SoundCloud rappers.
Yeah.
He said, I ain't got 1 billion streams, I got $1 billion. Inflating numbers like we supposed to be happy about this.
Right.
We was praising Billboard when we were young. Now look at like Billboard, like, is you dumb?
Right.
Because he's recognizing Billboard is just a fad.
Right.
It's not what it used to be.
Billboard doesn't tell you about who's the best rappers or who's the best artists. It just tells you who's the most popular.
Yeah.
Right. That's all they're taking it from. Who's the most popular? You know what I'm saying? If you and I put out a song, about rainbows and puppy dogs, and it has 5 million streams in 2 days, then we gonna be on the top of the Billboard charts. But that doesn't mean we got talent.
Right. I mean,
if you got a song about puppy dogs and rainbows on top of the chart, you've got to have some kind of talent.
Do you?
Whether it's marketing or
but the Billboard music, the Billboard music charts aren't about marketing. The Billboard music charts are about music.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But what they're saying is what it's about has changed. Right. So it's no longer a board of individuals that is saying, no, man, this is excellent music. Right. This music was put together well. The mix is good. The lyrics are great. The musicality is off the chain. That's not what it's about anymore. It's just about, who marketed their song the best.
I would argue that that's what it's always kind of been.
If that's what it was always about, people like Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder would have never made it.
Of course they would.
They didn't have great marketing behind them.
It wasn't just marketing. That's not the point. The point is that it's a combination of all of those things. That this is what the industry sees as profitable. This is what the industry sees as the top of the charts.
But once again, that's part of the problem, is what the industry sees now versus what it used to see.
But that's what I'm saying is I don't think it's changed. I think it's the same in essence. It's the same. A lot of the things are changing as far as like what is the new fad.
I don't see that as being the same though. I see that as being totally different. Right. If before it was a balance of all the things that went into making a great track or a great album, and now it's just about marketing, that's not the same.
But it's not just about marketing. It's also about what makes a good album. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you made a good track about puppy dogs and rainbows and it was the top of the track, it's not up there just because of the marketing. It's up there because somebody feels connected to it.
But that's the thing. Like, just because somebody feels connected to it doesn't make it a great song. It makes it a good song, but not a great song.
But see, now you're in the subjective.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We used to be able to count on that subjectivity. Now we can't.
I think we can. I think the taste is just not yours. It doesn't align itself with your taste. It aligns itself with the popular taste, with the mass taste. I think that's always kind of been the case. I think it's always, the Billboard's always kind of reflected the zeitgeist of the popular music area.
I think balancing out what's being said. In the 80s and 90s, on Brandon's side, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can stop me, there was a sense of artistry that was involved when it came to making an album, right? Hence, there used to be an A&R developer, totally for that purpose of developing this author, artist.
Right.
And if there was a difference, if they felt you was ready to come out, then you got this AR. If you were not, you got a production deal that built you up to then get to the. It used to be. You was either JV or if you started, okay, now you got all the coaches. If not, you worked with the JV coaches to get you ready to be a starter. Now it's coming to your side with that, Art, is the culture has changed in how they see what is labeled as a great album or a good album to the point to where they've skipped over the artistry of that. If you got a hot beat and you have a catchy rhythm, that's good enough now to put together an album, where before there was true development. You got a vocal coach. You really sat down with your music. You went into the studio. You sat with the Quincy's and all that stuff. Now I mean, think about it. After we went through the Fruity Loop change or Soulja Boy, everything changed on that, dude. Totally. It became 5 hot producers and everybody else was doing Fruity Loops. And if your Fruity Loop was hot enough to compete, you made it. But you was never considered a hot producer. You just the dude who had the catchy beat over here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, the barrier of entries changed.
Right, and that's what I was gonna say. Like to Art's point in his argument, technology and social media changed the gap. Like there used to be a gap from the artist to being able to put together the production, right? Because the artists couldn't put together those type of productions inside of their living rooms or inside of their closets, right? But then technology and social media came along where the stuff we get in an album can now be found on YouTube in a more interactive fashion, right? So that booklet that we used to get, and we used to, oh man, you get that booklet and that Michael Jackson history album and you feel closer to Mike because there's baby pictures in there and stuff like that, right? But now we have social media the way you can follow along to the creation of the entire song, meet the close friends of those people because they walked in during the video, right? And you're like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? I'm inside of this person's life in a more interactive fashion. But then that person has big studio sound potential inside of a computer that was never available 30 years ago, 25 years ago, right? So like to Art's point, like that kind of changed the game, right? But the point I'm making is the music that's distributed to us or told to us that's great is not on par with the music that we got before. Right, it's different, but it's not on par. The production values aren't on par. Right, we had great like albums that were produced and sounded amazing then, but now because we have taken the masters out of the crafts, we've taken the teams out of the productions, and we've got the jacks of all trades producing tracks and putting them out, and we're saying, okay, this is cool because 5 million people bought my track, it must be dope. And I'm just saying, just because 5 million people got your track and you're on the Billboard Top 100 does not mean your track is dope, right? Not if we're talking about all of those things that Mad Rational talks about on The Kitchen when we do the cut of the week. You know what I'm saying? Like, those things matter. And sales don't reflect those things.
Right.
Correct. I add to your point of that. When you look at, for intensive purposes, I'm going left and right with the statement to explain the gravity in this, right? Who do you think? What would you think right now, if you were to go to YouTube, is the number one song that's a video on YouTube? And I will give you, and it has over 2 billion views.
It's a boy band. It's a boy band. It's the Korean pop band.
No. I'm saying like just one song, like the one song, right? In like here in America. I'm saying our Billboard.
Yeah, it's still that Korean pop band. They're on the top of the American sound billboards on the top of the American music charts.
Are we talking about
on YouTube?
The trending on YouTube. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, excluding the Korean guys I didn't even know exists. The song Baby Shark. has 2 billion views.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying the simplification of it because it's a kid song. Baby Shark. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
The Baby Shark song,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, in comparison to that is something that's out new now. And I'm talking about the simplicity of that. I'm getting where I'm going with that.
Okay.
Cisco's Thong Song. At the time it came out, because we didn't have the level of social media we had then, right? Did over 7 million singles, right? Same verse 4 times. Very simplistic. Can we agree with that?
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was a good song. It was a hot summer track. He retired it on his own, right? Now go back to our 80s and 90s, right? A little bit further back. Michael Jackson, Thriller. Overall, so over 25 million direct records, right? Where would you compare Thriller to Thong Song and Baby Shark?
Availability.
That's what I'm going with what you. I'm agreeing with what you're saying, and then I'm making it to the point of you saying about what people find hot and what's the thing right there, and that's why I brought Baby Shark, because I remember I said I was going far right? It's a catchy thing that you can do with your kids and people are into it, but we won't say Baby Shark. We would never put Baby Shark against Thriller. And
No,
what's the hot thing?
I wouldn't put it against Thriller, but I would certainly put it against the Thong Song, only because there's a lot of science that goes into that song, into the Baby Shark song. And the only reason I know that is because I read Malcolm Gladwell, right? And so I've read Tipping Point and Outliers, and I can't remember which book it is. It's one of those two where he goes into into depth what it took to create Sesame Street and Blue's Clues.
Yeah.
And the Baby Shark, it's the same
it's
same
awesome.
idea,
Totally.
same level, right? So there's a whole lot of science that goes into creating those songs, because they're creating them in order to get kids' attention. So everything's thought through on a very meticulous level. The BPM of the song, the lyrics of the song, the key signature of the song, making sure it's in a key signature that's favorable to babies in that frequency range. All of that goes into it. That is a very a well put together song for the purpose that it has, right? I would argue that the Thong Song does not have that much thought behind it.
Correct. And let me just interject real quick.
Yeah.
I would say that's the reason I chose those 3, because I would put Baby Shark against Thriller based on what you said. Not in the sense of what is
I wouldn't.
better, but from the taking the time, the complexity of it.
No way. Michael Jackson is far more detailed than those team of people. I'm just saying.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not directly
I know
challenging.
you're not challenging.
What I'm saying is in the scale of those 3 songs, I would put Baby Shark with Thriller in the sense of the time that they took to actually put it together compared to what Cisco did with Thong Song.
If you're just comparing the work on it, sure.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
That's
It's
all
a
we're
difference.
talking about.
It's a difference in where we have to work at. I'm talking about I'm talking about work ethic, and where we are now when it's okay. Let me hop in the thing. I'm gonna just drop some ad libs, mumble a couple little things,
Right.
So, here's my thing with that is, all right. So first of all, to go with your metaphor, I wouldn't compare those 3 because they're not the same type of music. They don't go for the same target. They don't go for the same target market. If you were to say Michael Jackson's Thriller and then compare it to Pharrell's Happy, is that what the song's called? Get Happy.
It's called Happy.
Happy.
Yeah.
Then I would say those 2 songs are comparable. Those 2 songs have an parallel
You're
production.
You're talking about you're talking about the product versus the product. You're talking about the product. We're talking about the production.
No, I'm talking about the whole thing, product and production.
You're talking about the final thing and what it's doing. We're literally talking about the thought table, only the thought table, and not the final product.
Okay, then I'm talking about the production of it.
You're talking about the production value, which is a little bit different than the production itself. in this discussion. I get where you're coming from, like where you're putting them together, and you're not wrong. It's just a different conversation. That's all I'm saying.
Why what does production value have to do with anything? I'm talking about the production, the amount of time that went into the track.
Because all productions are the same, regardless of genre. They all have the same steps, right? And we're talking about the time on those steps and the meticulousness that goes into creating that final product, and it really doesn't matter genre at that point.
So what does that have to do with artistry? Because I'm talking about the artistry of the tracks.
But that's part of the artistry as well.
Okay. Well, I'm talking about the artistry of the tracks. Going back to the idea of the Billboard tracks, is the tracks nowadays, the tracks that are on the top of the Billboard, there are some of those paint by number tracks up there. However, the top tracks tend to be, for the most part, most of the tracks are pretty heavily produced, major label created songs for artists. You know, you have your Taylor Swift is always somewhere up there. You have your Ariana Grande. There's a lot going into that. Mm-hmm. A lot going into a lot of money, a lot of big studio.
I'm not arguing those.
Right. So what if we're talking about hip hop? Yes, within the hip hop realm, it has turned into the barrier of entry into that has changed remarkably. Mm-hmm. And in that, what we see at the top of the tracks is a lot of the popularity contest. However, it's also opened up a lot of artists that we would have never been able to. Like,
absolutely.
Your boy, White Iverson.
What's his name?
Post Malone.
Post Malone. Yeah.
While he
as soon as you said dirty, I knew you were talking about.
While he isn't necessarily, I wouldn't put him in the realm of hip hop. I would put him in the realm of hip hop, but I wouldn't say he's putting together hip hop music.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't exist in the top 10, top 20, top 100. He wouldn't exist in popular music had the barriers of entry not been changed.
Sure.
So I think to go back to what you said, I think the times have just changed as far as what the music has has required, what the popular ear has required. While I agree with you, I would say I don't care for any of this new music coming out. I will also say that I don't like this track that we're listening to right here at all. Mm-hmm. Like, nothing about it appeals to me. I like Jay-Z, but I've never liked anything he said. Right. And Meek Mill is sloppy. He's a sloppy rapper. And the track itself isn't interesting to listen to. There's nothing really interesting in it. It kind of, I hear what you're saying. It kind of harkens back to a day. Right. But we're at a time now where the capability is up there. I mean, you heard the Eminem tracks. They are crap productions for the most part, but the way they're all put together is extremely interesting. That's something I could listen to multiple times.
So the part that's missing for you on this track is the nostalgic part, which hits me and Lance a little bit different, which I totally, as soon as I heard the track, I'm like, Art's gonna hate this track. I knew it, right? Because there's no part of this track that connects to you at all. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's what music is, right? Right. And, you know, the whole basis for my argument, which you're not wrong in anything you've said, right? You know what I'm saying? So there's no wrongness there, but what I'm saying is there is a weight that is far too heavy on the brand image on the Billboard chart versus the talent. And like, you know, sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's really good, right? Sometimes that weird brand image gives us some great music. Yeah. Right? Because that person would have never been looked at had it not been for people's weird curiosity searching through social media, right? Sure. Sometimes it's good, but then other times it does have a negative impact, and it bumps somebody that probably artistically deserved the spot on the board versus somebody's brand image who just got the spot because, you know, they were that weird persona. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so in that light, sticking along with what you said, and kind of going back to what you said, back in the day, what now is brand image and marketing and social media, it was then the major labels and executives.
Sure. Yeah.
And A&R.
Yeah, it was being filtered heavily.
But that was
Yeah.
it. That was the entirety.
Yeah.
What now
whoever
is,
had the bigger pockets was
yes.
putting you on the chart. Yeah, for sure.
That's I guess what I'm saying is it's never changed. It's just that specific aspect has evolved into something new.
I'm for me though, the only thing I saw in when you look at older charts and stuff like that is a mainstream consistency of quality.
Sure.
Right?
Because it was all done by the same group of people.
Absolutely. And I'm kind of miss that. Like I kind of miss like every time something was released on the radio by the DJ, right? I knew it was going to be awesome. But now it's a toss up. It's like, oh, what crap they about to put on now? You know what I'm saying? And that's the part that I'm talking about.
And so that's kind of what I'm talking when I say, right, I totally agree with you that it's crap to my ears, to these new young kids coming up who've grown up listening to this instead of what we used to listen to.
Yeah.
This is their golden era. This is exactly what they're looking for. I mean, not this song that we're listening to, but you know, your mumble rappers. That's what is the top of their charts right now. And so I think what we're talking about is kind of the difference in the difference in the zeitgeist. Like it's actually what you were talking about just a second ago, nostalgia. This track brings nostalgia. The stuff that I think you're talking about you're missing is the nostalgic quality of those tracks.
Sometimes, but I am what's the word I'm looking for? Aware enough to know when I like a track because of nostalgia versus when I like a track because it's good.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Like, and I mean good from a technical sense, right? And that's not always the case. Like some people cannot make that, cannot discern the difference, right? I'm like, no, this is good, and you ask them why it's good, right? And then it's always because of a memory that's brought up, right? It's always because of something crazy that was happening when they were listening to it, right? And for me, even when I go back, the way I know the difference is because when I go back and listen to like 80s music, I wasn't alive, right, when that music was produced and created, but I still listen to it today, and there's no memories attached to it. It's just really good music, right?
It's not good in its entirety. There's still a lot of music that came out from around that time that was just as garbage as this new mumble rap stuff is.
Oh no, yeah. I'm talking about the mainstream stuff. I'm talking about the stuff that got pushed through the radio stations, right?
Sure.
That's the stuff I'm talking about.
A lot of it's still garbage.
Not a lot of the mainstream stuff we're talking about. Not the
oh yeah, man.
Your groups and things.
I listen to a lot of 80s music.
I do too.
Yeah, a lot of the top.
But you don't listen to mainstream music. Like you typically listen to some underground stuff.
Not now. I'm listening to 80s and 90s, 70s, 80s and 90s top hit music because that's what's out there. So when we're talking about 80s and 90s music, I'm talking about the same music you're talking about.
I'm not asking this from a debate perspective. I'm just asking to understand your feelings on music from that era.
Sure.
Like, and you say, like, could you give me like 3 examples of the stuff that you're considering trash? Again, it's not from a debate perspective. I'm just trying to understand to make that relation to 80s to where we are now.
Sure.
You get what I'm saying?
Anything Leonard Skinner, Miserlou, and anything from Poison.
Okay.
And none of those they're not in any of my playlists.
Fine, they're not in your playlist, but they were all top 10 hits at their time when they were around. Which is I'm saying, like, I'm not talking about your list. I'm talking about the list. I'm talking about the list that were out throughout those decades.
But like all the artists I listen to are also
Sure.
right.
100%. But I guess what I'm saying is that the quality of music hasn't changed dramatically from then to now. And the quality of the tracks that made it to the top 10 to the top 100, as long as the top 100 has been around, has not changed that much from then to now.
My hand for this one, America.
Sure.
So, in defense of your statement, and not to truly say you're wrong,
Okay.
but I have to put a but in this because I cannot give the exact date, and you can look this up. But the state of music has changed in reality the minute hip hop took country over as the number one music genre. So that is by
That's
default.
recent. That's recent.
But I'm saying, but by default, it has changed. Is the point I'm making?
And the only reason it took country over as the number one music genre was because of pop, because hip hop transitioned from hip hop
and it became popish.
music.
But that's the point I'm making is though, in a sense of music changing. Again, I'm not saying you're wrong, but you get what I'm saying.
Sure,
there was a change in general of the music culture.
I'm not talking about the music culture. I'm talking about the mainstream music.
I don't know if that was a point against art per se. I that's more of a point along what he's saying.
No,
like,
because no, listen to what I'm saying. Because if going from what you're talking about of your 80s music, right?
Okay.
And what your 80s music was.
Okay.
Listen to what I'm saying. Just listen to what I'm saying first before you respond. There was a definite separation, early 80s to even late 80s, of a separation of rap, hip hop, R&B, right, and pop. There was more of a separation. Can you agree? Because 80s rap was NWA, Two Live Crew, and then you started getting a little bit of Hammer. It was not what it is right now in the 80s. It wasn't. It wasn't. You had New Jack
just
Swing.
had different names.
You had New Jack Swing.
It's the same.
No,
It's the same. Now we call it the, like, before what we called hip hop in the 80s, we called trap music now.
But I'm talking about the
Like,
way it was
it's
in
just the
mainstream.
names.
It was different. It was different.
Nah, Rapper's Delight is trash. Right?
Dude, I'm talking.
Like,
Listen to what I'm talking about. The way it was represented was different. The way it hit mainstream, it was not what it was. You did not have suburban white kids running around rapping the way we do now.
No, because in the 80s,
but that's a culture change versus a music change.
in the 80s, you still had rock.
Yeah,
Rock was still the main.
That's the point I'm making.
right.
Man.
But then you had Beastie Boys that crossed that over. Mm-hmm. Right, you know what I'm saying? But that's a culture change, not a music change. Just because a white person raps doesn't change the genre of music.
Yeah, no, we're talking about like the culture of popular music. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. No, that's totally changed, 100%. My point was that the music, the industry in its entirety has not changed that much. It's evolved. It hasn't gone from like a mode to a B mode just because music has switched from country to rap. And before that, before country, it was rock. And before that, it was grunge music. And then before that, it was, I think it was glam rock. And then before that, it was disco. Like, we're just talking about what is in the zeitgeist at the moment, what is popular in the zeitgeist. That's changed, every 5 years or so. But the way that music has, been ranked, the way that people have been talking about music, the way that music has gone to the radio has not changed. It's still the music that gets the most, that is seen as making the most dollars for whatever companies. It just, once upon a time, it was A&Rs and music execs picking what went up there, which is why you didn't have a lot of black music up there for the longest time, even though there was tons of very, 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 very good black music.
Well, that's why Motown was created.
Yeah, and so
right.
and even Motown, you could say Motown, in a way, changed the culture of the industry the same way, in a similar way that
Motown,
SoundCloud has changed
Yeah.
it today. It's an evolution. But I would say that in its entirety, we're still looking at marketing. We're still looking at the quality of the music. We're still looking at what music is consumable on the widest range, the widest across the widest target market.
And my only argument is that marketing has has a longer measuring stick in the game. That's now versus then, right? That's the only thing I'm saying in all of this. Like, you're not wrong in anything you're saying, and I don't really disagree with anything you're saying, right? I'm just saying now that marketing is a bigger piece because we have the huge distribution channels, right? We've got Amazon, we've got Shopify, we've got Etsy, we've got SoundClick, we've got Fiverr, we've got, you know what I'm saying? It's like all of these different distribution channels for your content and materials. When you're talking about
the internet in general, I think that's
you know what I'm saying. And before that wasn't a player in the game.
No.
At all. And so before you had retail and you had concerts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those were kind of your only two avenues to go to.
No, I mean, you had radio commercials, TV commercials, and billboards. I mean, that's not been any different. You didn't know about.
Sure. Yeah, you're right.
You didn't know about Kiss until you either heard them on the radio or you saw them on a billboard.
Yeah, but now all those things are there.
Marketing.
All those things are still there though.
Totally.
None of that has changed.
Well, radio has changed. Radio is not really there. In fact, I would say actually the billboards, they're not. People aren't spending the kind of money that they used to spend on billboards the way they are now. Now they're spending that kind of money on banners and,
well, I think billboards just got cheaper in general because they've just been around.
I'm not saying that. Yeah. I'm saying that the mode of transportation for the marketing has
shifted to internet,
to the internet,
right?
Yeah.
Because you have more. It will get more people, right? But they're still using billboards. They're still using,
of course,
commercials, right? It just in a different light, and the internet has opened that up. So I that's why I say, like, by design of the entire industry, marketing had to be a larger measuring stick in it, right? Because when social media took place, now it's not the job of the company to market anymore. It's the job of the individual.
So that's where I would say the individual has taken on more of the weight of the marketing of their own track.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I would 100% agree on that.
Right.
And so you've kind of lost some of the quality of that artist. Some of the attention,
focus on more now.
Some of the attention of that artist is spent on things that it traditionally hadn't been. So I will totally.
This breaks and segues into a whole nother conversation that we've had before. Like a conversation, really, two artists, because of all the things we just stated, right? Because of everything we just talked about, and now the weight and the weight of the responsibility to your marketing and your final product really relies on you versus the big studio, right? Unless you've got big studio budget, right? Because big studio budget hasn't changed either, but the availability of money has changed, right? Now, this is the time to really put teams together, right? To put masters and crafts together, right? The shift is happening again to where jacks of all trades are not going to be they're not going to be what big companies are looking for. They're going to be looking for final product, and they're going to be looking for you to put together your team. They're going to be looking for you to be a CEO and not a one-man band, right? Mm-hmm. They're not looking for the chimney sweep and Mary Poppins anymore, right? They're looking for your whole squad to be put together and ready. And you go to them like, yo, I got a team. All you need to do is put us on and let us go. All we need is time, right? Because that's the thing that gets constrained the most when you're doing this thing by yourself, because you got to work a 40-hour job, right, in order to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Right? If you know what I'm saying, like if you got your 40 hours back, that's how you need to be thinking about your team. Like if my whole team got their 40 hours back, how dynamic would we be?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what you need to be focused on. Put together a team, right? You need your artist, you need your engineer, you need your producer, you need your beat maker, because producers and beat makers are not the same thing, people. I mean, y'all get on the team with
Say
that.
what? Are you sure?
I don't care what anybody has told you. Producers and beat makers are not the same.
Because that's not what I heard from
what? From who?
From DJ Chopsticks.
Oh, tell DJ Chopstick to sit down.
Okay.
He need to have a conversation with me and chop it up.
Just checking.
Yeah, look.
So I just want to reiterate.
Reiterate.
Producers
And
beat makers are different people.
Those are different credit lines at the end of your project.
But wait. Which one of them are the engineer though?
Neither one.
Oh, snap. Are you sure?
I'm 100% positive.
So I have to have a producer.
You have to have a producer.
A beat maker.
And
an engineer.
Engineer. Yes.
Ain't this a blimp?
Right. You might need 2
thunk
different types of engineers too. You might need a recording engineer and a mastering engineer.
Who would have thunk it?
Who would have thunk it?
I missed that one.
Yep. You also need a manager.
Wait a minute. Wait a whole minute. So I can't just run up in there and just ask for my money?
No, sir. You need someone to represent you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And in the process of all this, you need somebody to tell everybody else about the event. So you need a promoter.
But isn't my manager my promoter?
Psych.
Oh, man, this is getting deep.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
This is getting deep.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much right now.
Oh, my God.
Wait a minute.
It's crazy.
Wait a minute.
Bananas. It's bananas.
Okay. So that makes this question then. So since my so I have to have a manager and a promoter. So which one of those is my publicist?
Imagine that. You need a publicist.
A whole nother person?
Oh, my God.
Man. This really is a team we build it.
This is a team.
So I can't do all this by myself?
You cannot do all this by yourself.
And me and my cousin can't just do it together.
You know what? You and your cousin probably could do it together, but where would you be?
I don't know if we made it off the couch yet.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
This is bananas in pajamas right now.
I didn't see that. I didn't see this one coming. Oh, man.
You got to put together your team. Now, after stating all that, I will say there are services that you can purchase that will help you with some of those positions on a level, right? You may not need a publicist, right? Because you can get you can go through a service that will distribute your music and put it out in the proper channels, right? And post it up on social media, right? And there are algorithms on the internet that Art knows more about than I do that will help your music appear in places that you can't get into.
So you telling me I can't just on my own post to Twitter and think I'm going to make it?
Imagine that.
Who would have thunk it?
Huh. Even Soulja Boy had a fantastic marketing scheme. Even Soulja Boy. That's all I'm saying.
Didn't see that one coming.
No. Yeah, it is what it is.
Must have my blinders on.
Right. And sometimes you can have teams of people that you don't like, that you don't even know. Like, you know, some of the artists that I work with, like, they're beat makers. They don't know them personally. They have a relationship with them, like, through the internet. Right. They don't spend a lot of money. Like, they don't put them on staff, pay them thousands of dollars a year, but they do, you know, they buy beats, you know, 25 here, 100 there, whatever, you know, whatever it is. You got to find you somebody in your price range, you know what I'm saying, that's going to accommodate your project. You know, but you know, if you're just starting out and you don't have no money in your pocket, you probably can go to, you know, DJ Black and Mahal and be like, hey, I need a beat. It's probably not gonna work. Probably not, right? However, you can probably go to SoundClick and pay $25 for your beat, right? And get a license, you know, that involves being able to distribute that music and have it purchased at least 500 times. You know what I'm saying? And if you get 500, that's crazy. And now you need to buy a different license. But if you sold 500 tracks, you have the money to buy the other stuff, right?
By taking that money and just investing back in myself.
And yes, reinvesting.
Instead of going to the club with it.
That's it. Right.
Look at that, America. Look at that.
Right.
We are learning today.
We are learning today. You gonna learn today. So now that we know all these things, what are we gonna do?
Build myself a team.
Boom. There it is.
A team that believes in me.
A team that believes in you. But not just in you. A team that believes in itself. And believes in the product that you're trying to create. You gotta have a vision. You gotta have a goal, right? And sometimes you need more than money to bring people together.
This is true.
You need a direction,
A purpose.
similarities,
Equal footing.
status quo. Boom. And with all that being said, thank y'all for joining us once again. With our team, Team Mad Rational, once again. So, as always, if you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button, because some of y'all have seemed to have forgotten where the bell at. It's next to the subscribe button, so that when we drop the video, you get the notification. Yo, and we out.
Walk out like Kaiser Soze. As I was saying. I like that. You know that thing you do like you're doing it for TV, but in my mind it's hard to find me not believing you only doing it for me. And that's how much I like that. You make me want to melt you like butter on hot breakfast toast. When I knife that, nah, cut that, more like wife that, beyond the wedding band, because we can make the band with sweet music made from the essence of our auras and each other's presence.
When you said the line about the butter toast, I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Nah, we supposed to be like PG-19 in here. What's going on?
That's the best I could do with something like that. Because I like that.
See what you did there.